Welcome. Well, you're at home with Jim and Joy, and you are an important part of our EWTN family. And we're so delighted that you have welcomed us into your home. You know, we want to hear from you. So send us an email with your question or your comment to jimandjoy@ewtn.com. Well, today we're going to have our second show with Michelle Nash, who is the president of the Catholic Women of the Chapel at the Redstone Arsenal right here in Huntsville, Alabama. You can get in touch with her at facebook.com/Redstone Arsenal Catholics, a vital ministry, right, for women in the ministry, who are in the military service, either themselves or the spouses of, right, who come from far places and they need to plug in, they need to belong, they need to be discipled, they need spirituality, they need leadership, and they need service. Those are things that they need.
And it's a vital ministry for us, the civilians, to understand what these people go through, the faith that's there, to pray for them, to really be in touch. You know, Joe, we shared with the EWTN family that recently my brother-in-law had passed away, Anthony Antonello Sr. And we had a powerful time up in the Philly area. It was really about faith and about family that really sustained them. Married to my sister for 62 years. But one of the things that caught me by surprise was when we went to the interment to bury him, there were so many people in the cars. It was 9/11 when he was buried. And we turned the corner and there's all these American flags. So he was buried in a area for military people. And there were two Navy men standing there when we at attention. Wow, impressive, and they were dressed in beautiful garments. It looked hot, but they were there. And they went with that casket, to its resting place, as well as Monsignor and so on. But they invited everybody into the service. And my sister was there, 62 years married, really hurting, but she had such poise about herself, sitting there in a chair right by the casket. And they played taps. One of these younger guys played taps. It was so powerful there. But again, not forgetting the military, not forgetting the women of the military. And then this other guy, he was, they had quite a rank, and so he was there. And then they do the flag, the American flag's on, and they fold the flag with such dignity, and like they check each other out. I know, and I'm not military, so I'm sorry if but it's so impressive. And then, they shake the head, and then the Navy, one of the Navy men there squats down, because my sister's so small, and he presents the flag. And I don't know if I have the conversation right, but it was something like, on behalf of the President of the United States, I heard that, on behalf of the President of the United States, and on behalf of this country, on behalf of the Navy, thank you for your service, and gave it to her. And my sister said, I want you to know my husband loved this country. And I want you to know my husband loved the Navy, and I want you to know my husband loved this president. And he said, yes, ma'am. That exchanged, we were all so proud, even though we're not military, we don't think about it. They were there, they didn't forget.
Right.
How many years ago he served in the Navy. So let's not forget those that are giving themselves to service in the countries around the world. Let us pray for them. Let us pray for peace. Plenty more to come. We'll be right back. Please don't go away.
You did a good job, my love. Welcome back. Well, you're at home with Jim and Joy, and today I would like to recognize our audience. We have people here today who came from Kentucky, who came from Oklahoma, and also Alabama here in Huntsville. But if you want to be a part of our show, all you need to do is contact the Pilgrimage Department here at EWTN and say, I'm making my way down. It's the fall. There's some things I'd like to do in my life. Maybe making EWTN a visit is something you want to do. We would love to have you. Well, today we have beautiful Michelle Nash with us again. She is the president of the Catholic Women of the Chapel at the Redstone Arsenal right here in Huntsville, Alabama. You can go to facebook.com/Redstone Arsenal Catholics. Now, Michelle, when we were visiting with you, and the show went so fast, you had so much to say, and it was so beautiful. But tell our family a little bit home, a little recap of what you all do with the Catholic Women of the Chapel.
So the Catholic Women of the Chapels, really they're there to bring women together and connect them through faith, but we have the golden thread of being military spouses. But every Catholic Women of the Chapel meeting, if you will, or gathering really looks uniform. That's really another, I think, brilliant factor of what these women, because it's really women going and being disciples of all nations. We get transplanted and have orders to PCS, and we take all of our ideas and our experiences that we had from one military place, and we share it with another, and we kind of consolidate and collaborate with all those really good ideas. And so it's a time for the women to gather. Typically you have Mass, you have maybe adoration, you have a speaker, you can have your priest there, you do Bible study, and we always have food.
That's important.
Yes, it is very important. But if you can't cook, you're welcome anyway, right?
So you really want to plug them into their spirituality,
That's the
leadership,
yes.
and then service.
Yes.
And what can we do, right?
Right.
So you bring them along that way.
Unpack those areas
Yeah.
for us. What do they mean? What comes under those areas?
Well, you know, you don't know where women are when you meet them in their faith.
Right.
So I think to expect women to come in and say, this is what we do and this is how we're doing it. And for some women are like, I just showed up because you have childcare and my kids can be here.
Right.
And I've got an hour and a half and I don't know if this is what I want to do. So I think the first thing that we have in this is really just service. I think we can all identify that we are military women. We're there, whether your husband's serving or your children are serving, because now you're a much older, seasoned military woman attending there. It's about where do you love to serve? Especially our chapel and our priests. It could be as something as just setting the tables on a Friday morning when your organization is. Or you're now going to really be a little more active. You're going to lead the Bible studies. You're going to facilitate small groups. And then the leadership, well, that branches out into many areas. Now maybe you're going to become a parish coordinator. Maybe you're going to be a youth coordinator. Maybe you're going to be helping out with the Vacation Bible School. You start to find yourself of, I never used to do this, and now I'm the person leading the group. Yeah. And then I think the spirituality just hopefully, and what I've heard back from women who, like when we go on weekend retreats or with the Military Council of Catholic Women Worldwide, what they do a really good job of biannual and then every 2 years, they have these regional gatherings where all the little, CWC clusters, if you will meet, and then we do one worldwide where everyone comes together. You can serve at their board.
Again. So I understand your local one, but
Yes.
you're saying how many are there in the country again?
So we have 220 military installations, but on our CWC
Right.
Facebook president page, right now I think we only have, that we've recognized, I think maybe currently 70.
But you say they get together?
So yeah, so what happens is thank God for technology, because back in the day when I started out as a CWC president, there was not this Facebook. So you basically had a notebook that somebody left you, and I mean, maybe it had recipe stains on it or something.
Right,
you know, you don't even know if you were doing things right. So we get together and we share ideas, but MCCW is a separate entity than the Catholic Women of the Chapel. It is from, it's endorsed by Archbishop, the Archdiocese for Military Services, and really the goal is to unite, gather, connect, inspire. So they do regional retreats where all of the chapels pay themselves to go. It's not like they're sponsoring it for us, but they organize it, and it's led by military and retired spouses, and we kind of gather together for the common good and just reconnect. You've made friendships with women that maybe you haven't seen in 5 years, and now my ladies back in Hawaii are like, I'll see you at the forum, and but husbands will come back and say, it wasn't my wife just going away on these weekend retreats. She came back a better wife, a more patient mom, like a better daughter to Christ.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful if it's being done right.
Yeah.
Well, and I like the idea that you can expect it to be the same,
Yes.
be uniform, but yet like what maybe have worked in New Jersey didn't work in Kentucky.
Correct.
And so you can take what you've learned from each and bring it to make it your own, that
Yes.
it even has its own life and breath.
Yes. For instance, right now where I'm at, before Redstone, I was at the Army War College in Carlisle. Well, these women that I'm with, their husbands are getting ready to take brigade commands and big positions. They're in a higher level of leadership. So it looked a little different than when I come to Redstone, and the women that I'm serving there are divorced, widowed. their children have left the church. They're praying for their grandchildren. It's a different phase of life.
Yeah.
And so the needs are very different than I'm at Fort Campbell, where I'm very big in division, and I've got a bunch of little kids, and the moms are gathering because it's a great time for moms away, for a mom's day out kind of thing.
That area of spirituality.
Yes.
There's things that are consistent in terms of Mass, Eucharistic adoration, wonderful things. What's unique, do you think, about the spirituality of these women or of military people? You know, because it's a unique. They're laying it on the line. There's life and there's death. There's you know, there's distance. There's so what in terms of their prayers or what they're focusing on, or is it surrender? Is it like, because it's in control because you all signed up, you know, but it's out of control in a lot of ways. You know, you don't know what's going to happen. So what makes your spirituality unique?
Yeah. So I just go to the cross. You know, Mary, I think of this of there's always room at the cross for another. And I think as Catholic women of the chapel, when they come in there and their prayers, they're praying. Yeah. They are praying. And maybe they're not even praying with their own faith, but they're borrowing their sister's faith. And these women are prayer warriors. There is nothing more powerful, and I use people's words to say this to you both, that have said there is nothing more powerful than getting in a room where there are 200 and 300 military women praying the rosary out loud together. Because it is fervent, or praying the rosary for the warrior, the war fighter. I think it's because at the end of the day, these women, whether some of them have faced it or not, loss could happen to you. And it's a reminder every day that you could be the one that this affects. And so there is a fervent prayer, I think, life that's in that spirituality.
And we did a show recently on the Guard of Honor, which is an aspect of devotion to the Sacred Heart that's being renewed in our day from the 1800s. And the Guard of Honor focuses upon Our Lady, Mary Magdalene, and St. John at the foot of the cross. And especially when the heart is pierced of Jesus and their intercession, their union there. And I hear a lot of that in what you're saying. It's because it gets to that point. We're speaking about life, we're speaking about that. And Our Lady, especially about peace. I mean, who wants peace more than the military people? Although you hear some of the people out in the country, it's kind of like, you know, if it's military or whatever, then you're war people. You know, you're about war. No, I mean, you want war the least.
That's exactly right.
And so you would be at the cross with Our Lady, praying for peace and for war to cease. And so I think that's what I mean by the particular spirituality. It must be interesting because your chapels are, everybody's using your chapels, right? Muslim and Protestants and you all and whatever. So everybody's using that, and you don't kind of proselytize. Everybody's respecting one another without compromising. But maybe you would have some cross-pollination, and I would really think that would be the perfect context to speak about Our Lady.
I have a beautiful story of how Our Lady worked, and this was a miracle, and I witnessed it every step of the way. We had an active duty Army chaplain, female, in our chapel, and she would hold the door open to ensure that every Catholic got out of there at her time because her service was going to start, and shame on you for being late. So what she did one day is she just decided, I'm going to sit in the pew and make sure that that priest looks at me so that my fellow brethren knows, time's up, buddy. I mean, this is her talking. And slowly but surely, she was coming in earlier and staying later, and she is now a third order lay Dominican. She gave up her entire faculties and endorsements with the chaplaincy to become a Catholic because she said, when the truth hits you like a Mac Daddy, it's happening. And I asked her, I said, I got to share what happened because that was a miracle that I never saw coming. But that's the power of Our Lady of the Closet that would sit in the corner of our chapel, and that woman would walk in to make sure everybody was out, and she was sitting there, and I don't doubt that the Eucharist and Our Lady right there converted that woman 100%.
How beautiful.
It was a miracle.
And that's what you don't expect. And people who are on this spiritual journey, some maybe just converted to Catholicism, maybe because they just got married, you know, and then you have a woman who may be walking with the Lord 30, 40 years in her faith, and that beautiful place of to say, let's do this together. We can do this together.
That's
that mentoring and
The
discipleship.
mentoring is a big, I think that's one of the huge benefits of our CWCs. There's such mentoring without it being like, come here, let me tell you what you need to do.
Right.
It's just the watching versus the saying in a lot of things.
Well, and you're missing your earthly mother, right? Because maybe you've had to move far away.
Yes.
And so you're looking for maybe an older woman, and then if there is none, and how beautiful our Blessed Mother coming to fill that void.
Let me tell you,
right?
when we have our young mothers that come with the babes in arms, I can't tell you how many of the older CWC, more seasoned ladies are like, give me that baby.
Yes.
You go get your plate of food. That means everything to that young woman. Yeah. And to quote another beautiful, beautiful Catholic woman of the chapel, she's at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, and they have a lot of people that deploy and come back and do a lot of stuff. And she was so eloquent when I'd asked her, what would you say about Catholic women of the chapel? And she goes, it's family. It's family. It is family. It is my picked family.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's how it's looked at.
Share with us a little bit about family, about the children of active duty, parents or moms, or the mom is there. And I did speak with someone recently that's near a base.
Yes.
And she's an educator, she's a teacher. And she was saying, well, our school is the school that gets these children. They're zoned for our school.
Right.
And she was like, we know every one of those. I guess they're informed, but also just they're different.
Right.
Okay, so why are they different? Because they have these concerns.
Yes.
And they find it hard to establish relationships because they don't know where they're going next. Maybe they're going to move, and so the children are really unique in what they're going through.
You are absolutely correct, and I will tell you, every military installation has what they call their school liaison officer, and that school liaison officer is there to help the civilian schools, because a lot of these schools are not on military installations, the needs of these children. They are the voice for the military children. And in our Catholic community, there are many mothers that homeschool their children and do a lot of stuff for that reason because of the in and out. But I can tell you something that I know my own children struggled with, is they would say, Mom, who wants to be our friends, because we always say goodbye to them. And a lot of these kids don't want to invest in us because we're only going to be here for a year or two. And I said, I know, but you got to say goodbye to say hello, right? You have to say goodbye to say hello. So you invest in them,
But it is that guarded heart.
It is.
Right? You want to guard your heart because it's like, hey, this is a short gig, and so I'm really not going to get connected because I know the pain that I'm going to endure. So I'm just not even going to go there.
Right.
And so then people live with guarded hearts, and that's not the way God wants us to be.
No, it's definitely not. And while CWCs are the service and leadership and spirituality, it really is friendship. I tell everyone, go meet your new best friend there. It truly is, it really is the truth. Go meet your new best friend. And sometimes you're the invitation they're waiting for.
Yes.
And I think when people, especially in the military community, start to see, gosh, how is your life a little happier? There's a little more clarity. There's a little more coping, because really the Army, any of the branches, I speak on behalf of the Army because we are an Army family, an Army, a proud Army wife, but I say this of resiliency matters.
Yes.
And that's what our formation and our faith is supposed to help us with, our resiliency. We're not to be resilient when the issue happens, before it happens. It's our faith that allows us to be resilient during it. Then we might need to fill up again.
Right.
So I think CWC, we're the resiliency program for these military families.
Beautiful. We're going to take a break at this point, and we'll keep you over and conclude sharing more about this incredible ministry. Facebook.com/Redstone Arsenal Catholics for more information. We'll be right back. There's plenty more to come. Please don't go away.
Welcome back. Well, we're going to finish up with Michelle, but first we're going to go to Rome to hear from Joan. Now, Joan just returned from Hawaii. Isn't there a big Catholic military presence in Hawaii?
Well, greetings again, Jim and Joy. And I have to tell you, what a fascinating guest and topic you have for this week, and I really wish I could have been in studio with you. Now, Michelle Nash, of course, has had a fascinating life, career, and ministry. The wife for 25 years of an Army Navy person working alongside with him. And she's also been very active for years in CWOC, Catholic Women of the Chapel, and the MCCW, the Military Council of Catholic Women. Now, what fascinates me about this story and your guest is that only 10 days ago, I was in Hawaii, and I spent a lot of time with my military friends. In fact, a good friend of mine, Jan, and her husband, Trip, he's a retired naval officer. They've hosted me for many years in their home. And Jan is a cantor and the music director of the Pearl Harbor Catholic community there in the Prince of Peace Chapel at Pearl Harbor. And she always makes sure that I'm part of that community. In fact, I've been to masses there a lot of times, and I feel like I have an ohana, a family in that community. Now, every time I go as a visitor, I do receive a lei, and that's very wonderful. But this year, the choir gifted me a very beautiful double-faced medal on a stand. One side depicts the Catholic Chapel Prince of Peace at Pearl Harbor Base, and the other the chapel at the Hickam Air Force Base. Now, it's important to say that not just women, but entire families support the Catholic communities here. They support the pastor. They do what women seem to do, women and families everywhere in the world, and that is get altars ready, prepare vestments for the priest, clean the linens, and of course 10 times out of 10, they prepare some kind of snack or something after a Mass or food for other liturgical or other celebrations. Now, it's not just important, I want you to know, it's imperative that these women, whether they're military wives, stay-at-home moms, active duty moms, it's absolutely imperative that they get involved in the Catholic community for a very simple reason. There is a huge dearth of Catholic chaplains in the military. In fact, some of the masses at Pearl Harbor that I've attended, the priests have been visitors or they've been from other churches on the island. So it's very important that these women, that these families stand behind the pastor and help him out in all their ministries. And I have to say that eating meals with these people and in prayer, I've come to learn a lot about these families, how close they are to each other, and how supportive they are of their chaplains, of their pastors. So I'd really like to end with a thank you to all of the military families, especially the women, because so often they wear two hats. I want to thank them for their devotion to family, to the church, and of course, to the country. So, a great story, but back to you.
Joan, thank you so much for that sharing. Did Joan have it about?
Oh my gosh, I'm touched. I'm like, who are these amazing women? That's what I thought.
It's you.
Oh, no, you know, I want to say something that she pointed on about these amazing chaplains. We're getting ready. I know we are to have our own first saint with Father Capodanno, and he, the Grunt Padre, right? He's in the first stage of the four stages of becoming a saint, and he's one of our own. And I am so grateful that he is a part of our community. So I cannot tell you, I know it's going to happen sooner than you think, because I have all of these Catholic women around the world praying. And I have to tell you, the number of babies that now are named Vincent is huge. Our Catholic Women of the Chapel ladies are having babies, naming them Vincent. So I know that Father Vincent Capodanno is going to be a saint sooner than what we think.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And we've learned so much, you know, about your community and people who are willing to make the ultimate sacrifice on our behalf. And so it's not only good for those women, for the military, it's just so good for us to hear. I don't catch any sense that there's any sort of whining or this and that. You know, I mean, you're about faith, you're there, but there are needs. What can we do as civilian people to help support this work?
I think just your prayers. I think you said it, pray for peace. I think just to remember that, you know, these women, we're very strong. Women are strong. Sometimes we don't ask for help, right? So just pray for the women and pray for the families and pray for the marriages. You're already doing it. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Oh, Michelle, thank you so very, very much for the great work you're doing, this work all over the country, and allowing us to be a part of it. Joy?
Well, don't forget that tomorrow, September 21st, the EWTN Family Celebration will be in Denver, Colorado. Now, there are great speakers, activities for the kids, and it's all free. Yep, free. Go to the EWTN/Family Celebration for more information.
Thanks so much for being with us today. As Catholic women of the chapel, let's pray for our military. Let's appreciate them. Let's pray for wars to cease and that the Prince of Peace would rule and reign upon this earth. You're an important part of this family. You're always at home with Jim and Joy. Keep it on EWTN. Bye now.